Have you ever wondered, why does life feel more tiring, more lonely, and somehow less joyful after 70, even when you're eating well and taking your medicines on time? The truth may surprise you. It's not just age. It could be the quiet absence of intimacy. Yes, the decline in sexual closeness after 70 can slowly affect your energy, your heart, your immunity, and even how happy or connected you feel without you even realizing it. For many Indian seniors, talking about sex feels uncomfortable. But what if I told you that understanding these changes might help you live longer, feel lighter, and reconnect more deeply with your partner, with your body, and even with your sense of purpose? In today's video, we'll gently explore 6 surprising effects that happen when sexual activity fades after 70, and what simple, respectful things you can do to stay healthier and more emotionally fulfilled. Before we begin, I would love to know, where are you watching this from, and what time is it right now? Please leave a comment below. Even if it's just a simple moment from your day, I genuinely appreciate hearing from you. And if you find this content helpful, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a meaningful topic like this. Have you ever quietly wondered why your body feels more tired, even though you're eating well and doing everything your doctor tells you? In many parts of India, from the lanes of Varanasi to the quiet corners of Coimbatore, older adults often feel a kind of fatigue that's hard to explain. It's not just from age or blood pressure or sugar levels. Sometimes it's from something more silent. Something we rarely talk about: the loss of intimate connection. You see, after the age of 70, many seniors in India gradually stop having physical closeness with their spouse. It may be because of health conditions, emotional distance, or even the belief that sex is no longer appropriate at this age. But what most people don't realize is that this quiet absence can trigger powerful changes inside the body. And not just in the heart, but in the hormones, the mind, and even the immune system. Let's talk first about hormones. In both men and women, hormones like testosterone and estrogen are not just for sex. They're deeply linked to your energy, your mood, and how fast or slow your body ages. In men, testosterone helps with maintaining muscle strength, bone density, and even memory. In women, estrogen plays a key role in skin health, heart function, and bone strength, especially after menopause. Now, here's what's important. Regular sexual activity, yes, even gentle forms of intimacy, helps keep these hormones balanced. When intimacy fades, especially after 70, these hormone levels drop more quickly. That's when many seniors begin to feel weaker, more forgetful, and emotionally low, even when their reports show no major illness. It's not magic, it's biology. Without the gentle, natural stimulation of affection, touch, and connection, the body produces fewer of the hormones that keep us youthful and balanced. This is why an elderly man in Pune or a retired teacher in Chennai might suddenly feel older than they actually are, because the internal chemistry of vitality has begun to shift. Let me tell you a story. Robert, a 73-year-old retired engineer living in Mumbai, lost his wife 3 years ago. Since then, he stopped all forms of intimacy. Not just sexual, but even hugging, holding hands, or sitting close to others. He began feeling dull low on energy and struggled to focus on small tasks. His blood sugar was stable, his heart was fine, but something felt off. After consulting a specialist, Robert learned that his testosterone level had dropped much faster than expected. With simple changes like walking in the morning, connecting with friends, and yes, joining a seniors wellness group that encouraged gentle physical activity, he started feeling more alive again. This isn't about forcing anyone to do something they're not comfortable with. It's about knowing the truth: your body still responds to touch, connection, and closeness, even in your 70s and 80s. The science supports it, but so does our experience. In many Indian homes, affection is replaced by silence. Husbands and wives sleep apart. Parents avoid discussing their needs. But inside the heart still longs for a simple gesture, a hand to hold, a warm hug, a kind word in the morning. Health in old age isn't just about medicines or diets. It's about balance between body, mind, and connection. And sometimes a return to simple closeness is exactly what the body has been waiting for. So if you're listening to this today somewhere in Kerala or Delhi or wherever you are across India, remember this. Your body may be older, but it is still listening, still responding, still needing care, not just from the outside, but from within. Let's not ignore that voice any longer. Let's understand it. Let's honor it. In a small home just outside Jaipur, Mr. Rajan, a 74-year-old retired railway officer, sits by his window each evening, sipping warm masala chai and watching the sun dip behind the neem trees. He has lived a disciplined life, ate well, followed his doctor's advice, never smoked, and took evening walks religiously for years. But lately, he has noticed something he can't quite explain. Even though his test reports show no major issues, he feels drained by afternoon, forgets where he kept his glasses, and often wakes up feeling strangely disconnected. It's not pain. It's not sadness. It's something in between, a quiet fading of energy and alertness that wasn't there before. What Mr. Rajan didn't realize, and what many seniors in India also overlook, is that the body changes its rhythm when certain parts of emotional and physical connection fade away. One of those parts is sexual intimacy, a subject often tiptoed around in Indian homes, especially after a spouse passes away or illness creates distance. But science tells us that when sexual activity stops or fades after 70, the hormonal balance in the body begins to shift more sharply than we expect. You see, hormones like testosterone in men and estrogen in women don't just affect desire, they control energy levels, muscle strength, memory, and even emotional stability. Without the natural stimulation that intimacy brings, be it in the form of physical closeness, emotional bonding, or shared affection, these hormones start to drop more rapidly. And this isn't just a theory in a medical journal. This is something Indian seniors feel every day quietly without a name to it. In Mr. Rajan's case, his doctor checked his testosterone levels and found them lower than average for his age. Instead of medications alone, the doctor encouraged him to start gentle yoga, meet others regularly, and begin small routines of touch and connection, like hugging his grandchildren more often or sharing hand massages with his daughter. Slowly, Rajan began to feel a lift in his mood. He was still the same age, but inside, his body was receiving signals of life again. Now let's talk about the heart. In many Indian cities, from Hyderabad to Lucknow, cardiovascular disease is one of the leading causes of death in people over 65. But what most people don't realize is that sexual activity works like light aerobic exercise for the heart. During intimacy, the heart rate increases, blood vessels expand, and feel-good chemicals are released that lower stress and regulate blood pressure. This natural rhythmic boost is like a gentle workout, very much like a slow walk in Lodi Garden or a morning stretch in a temple courtyard. When intimacy disappears completely, the heart misses that unique kind of stimulation. Over time, blood flow slows, energy drops, and the risk of conditions like hypertension, poor circulation, and fatigue increases. Some men may notice more frequent issues with erections. Women might experience dryness or discomfort that makes emotional closeness harder to enjoy. These are not signs of failure. They are signs of a system quietly asking for attention. For Indian seniors, especially those raised in cultures of modesty and silence around such topics, it's not always easy to talk about these things. But your body is still listening. It responds to touch, to connection, to warmth, just like it did in your 40s and 50s. The difference now is that the need may be softer, but the impact of ignoring it is louder. Caring for your health after 70 doesn't mean giving up parts of who you are. It means understanding how everything is connected: your heart, your hormones, your memories, and your emotions. And perhaps, like Mr. Rajan, taking small steps each day to stay connected not just with others, but with yourself. In the quiet mornings of Madurai, 76-year-old Meera slowly waters the tulsi plant in her courtyard, her hands moving gently with habit. Once a vibrant schoolteacher, she now feels breathless. After simple tasks, walking from her kitchen to the prayer room sometimes feels like climbing a small hill. Her neighbors believe it's normal aging, but deep down, Meera wonders if something else has shifted. She still eats home-cooked food, walks to the temple daily, and avoids oily snacks, yet her blood pressure has crept up. Even her doctor seemed puzzled at first until he asked a more personal question. Have you been emotionally and physically active since your husband passed in India? Especially among seniors, we often separate emotional health from physical health, thinking one lives in the heart while the other lives in the body. But science and experience show us something deeper. The heart listens to both silence and connection. When sexual intimacy fades in later years, whether due to grief, illness, or distance, the cardiovascular system quietly begins to change. It's not simply about pleasure. It's about the physical stimulation, hormonal release, and emotional bonding that support blood circulation and regulate heart function. You see, during moments of physical closeness, our heart rate naturally increases, blood vessels dilate, and oxytocin, the bonding hormone, floods the system. This chemical not only enhances mood, but also helps reduce blood pressure and inflammation in the body. It acts like a silent medicine without pills or injections, supporting blood flow, oxygen delivery, and emotional calm. In contrast, when intimacy disappears, especially without any emotional or physical alternative, the heart loses this rhythm, this subtle push that once kept it agile. This is how Meera found herself more fatigued, her blood pressure harder to control, even though her diet and activity hadn't changed. Her body was missing not just movement, but meaningful movement, the kind that involves connection, closeness, and shared touch. After attending a senior wellness group in Coimbatore, where yoga, dance therapy, and open conversation were encouraged, Meera slowly regained her vitality. She didn't return to sexual activity in the traditional sense, but she began sharing warm hugs, laughing more freely, and even singing devotional songs with her group, feeling something open inside her. Doctors across India, from AIMs in Delhi to clinics in small towns, now recognize that intimacy, especially in old age, plays a quiet but powerful role in heart health. Yes, feels tired. And no one seems to talk about it, not even the doctors during her routine checkups. This quiet mental fog experienced by many seniors in India often arrives silently after the age of 70. It doesn't always come from illness or major stress. Sometimes it begins with something subtle, the absence of emotional and physical intimacy. In Indian culture, especially among elders, such topics are rarely spoken of. But science and experience are clear: intimacy in any form that brings connection plays a powerful role in mental clarity, mood, and brain health. During moments of closeness, whether through touch, eye contact, or shared laughter, our brain releases key chemicals like dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. These are the hormones that lift your mood, reduce stress, and give you that gentle feeling of peace and connection. They also nourish your brain, helping it stay flexible and responsive, a quality known as neuroplasticity, which becomes more important as we grow older. Without regular release of these brain-boosting chemicals, the mind can feel dull, unmotivated, and even prone to depression or memory loss. You might ask, can such simple things really affect my brain? And the answer, rooted in both medical studies and real lives, is yes. Engaging in affectionate moments, whether with a spouse, a grandchild, or even a dear friend, stimulates parts of the brain responsible for memory, decision-making, and attention. This is why seniors who stay connected tend to remain sharper, more joyful, and more resilient in the face of stress. Let me share with you the story of Margaret, a retired nurse from Pune. After facing a series of health issues and losing her desire for intimacy, she slowly withdrew from her usual circles. She stopped going to her ladies' satsang group, avoided family gatherings, and found herself forgetting simple things, birthdays, names, even why she entered a room. Her children thought it was just old age, but a caring doctor saw the emotional layer behind her symptoms. He gently encouraged her to reconnect not through pressure, but through small loving gestures. Margaret began by sharing chai with her neighbor each evening, offering small hugs to her grandchildren, and gradually her spark returned. You see, intimacy in later years does not have to mean the same as in youth. It can be soft, warm, and rooted in companionship, a hand on the shoulder, a shared laugh, a conversation without hurry. These moments speak directly to the emotional and chemical balance in your brain. They remind your mind that it is still needed, still loved, still part of something bigger than itself. In Indian households where tradition and silence often walk together, it's easy for elders to feel that their emotional needs no longer matter. But the truth is, your brain is still listening. It still responds to affection, it still heals through love, and it still longs for the gentle rhythm of closeness. Ignoring that is like starving a part of your mind that needs nourishment, not from food, but from connection. So if you feel your memory slipping, your mood sinking, or your mind losing its spark, pause. Ask yourself, when was the last time you felt truly close to someone? Not just in words, but in feeling. Because sometimes the medicine our minds need is not in a pill, but in a moment of genuine human connection. In the shaded courtyards of Udaipur, where the afternoon light falls gently on carved stone verandas, 75-year-old Savitri Bai often finds herself lost in thought. She sits beside her husband of nearly 50 years, but they rarely speak now unless it's about the TV volume or the time for tea. Their children live abroad, and though the house is filled with old memories, the silence has grown louder with each passing year. This silence is not just outside, it echoes within her too. And what once felt like peace now feels like loneliness. For many older couples across India, the quiet withdrawal of physical and emotional intimacy after the age of 70 is accepted as a natural part of aging. But science and lived experience tell us something different. Emotional connection is not a luxury. It's a vital form of nourishment for the mind. When intimacy fades, whether due to health issues, loss of interest, or unspoken distance, the mind begins to carry the weight of isolation. This isn't simply about sex. It's about touch, about closeness, about the shared laughter that once came easily and now feels like a memory. The brain, especially in old age, needs stimulation, not just from books or puzzles, but from warmth and connection. You see, when we experience affectionate touch, kind words, or even simple acts like sitting closely or holding hands, our brain releases hormones like oxytocin and serotonin. These chemicals do more than lift your mood. They protect the brain from stress, reduce anxiety, and support memory and focus. Without these regular boosts, the mind can slowly lose its brightness, leading to depression, forgetfulness, and emotional detachment. This is why experts often say that mental health and emotional intimacy go hand in hand. Take the example of Margaret, a retired nurse from Bengaluru. After a stroke weakened her mobility, her relationship with her husband grew quieter. They stopped touching, stopped sharing space the way they used to. And over time, Margaret felt her mood sinking. She wasn't crying or complaining, but she wasn't laughing either. Her memory felt foggy, and she lost interest in the small joys of her day. It wasn't until a young therapist visited her apartment during a senior outreach program that Margaret discovered what was missing. She was encouraged to reintroduce gentle closeness, like resting her hand on her husband's during meals or simply sitting beside him during their favorite devotional songs. At first, it felt awkward. But over time, something softened. And with that softness came a lightness in her thoughts, a return of mental clarity, and a warmth that no medicine had managed to provide. Across India, from the hills of Shimla to the quiet homes of Kanchipuram, countless seniors face this silent separation. They sleep under the same roof, yet feel emotionally miles apart. But it doesn't have to remain this way. Mental wellness after 70 isn't just about crossword puzzles and vitamin tablets. It's about human connection, whatever form that may take. Even non-sexual physical affection, like hugging, shoulder massages, or simply sitting in silence while holding hands, can send powerful signals to the brain. These signals remind the mind that it's not alone, that it is still seen, still valued, still held. So if you or someone you care for has quietly drifted away from emotional closeness, know this: it's not too late. Small gestures, small efforts, even once a day, can spark healing, not just in the body, but deep within the soul. In the Indian way of living, we often prioritize duty, tradition, and care for others. But your emotional needs are sacred too. Acknowledging them, honoring them, and taking steps toward connection can transform not just your days, but your entire experience of aging. After all, growing older is not about shrinking back into silence. It's about holding on to the bonds that keep us truly alive. In the old lanes of Lucknow, where the air smells of cardamom chai and kachoris sizzling in street-side kadais, 78-year-old Evelyn and her husband George sit quietly on their rooftop. They share the same blanket on chilly evenings and drink from the same brass tumbler, but rarely look each other in the eye anymore. After a long marriage filled with festivals, children, and daily routines, a strange silence has grown between them. Not a silence of conflict, but of emotional distance. And this distance, though invisible, has begun to show in their health, their moods, and their sense of purpose. In many Indian homes, especially among seniors, the loss of emotional closeness is accepted as normal, just another part of growing old. But beneath this quiet acceptance, there is often a longing that remains unnamed. You see, emotional connection is not something we leave behind with youth. It continues to shape our sense of belonging, trust, and inner strength even in the later stages of life. When that connection fades, it doesn't just hurt the heart, it affects the mind, the immune system, and the will to live fully. Science tells us that affectionate acts, holding hands, sitting close, or even a warm smile stimulate the release of oxytocin, a hormone that builds trust and deepens attachment. This bonding hormone is not limited to romantic love. It plays a vital role in stabilizing emotions, reducing anxiety, and supporting mental resilience. When couples stop sharing these moments, even if they live under the same roof, their sense of unity quietly weakens. They may find themselves arguing more, feeling misunderstood, or simply drifting apart without knowing why. In Evelyn and George's case, health issues had limited their physical intimacy. What started as a medical challenge soon turned into emotional withdrawal. Evelyn began feeling lonely even when George was sitting right next to her. George, unsure of how to bridge the growing gap, became more irritable. Their conversations grew shorter, their laughter less frequent, and even shared rituals like watching Ramayan reruns felt forced. But one evening, during a visit to a family counselor at a local senior center in Varanasi, something changed. The counselor didn't focus on their physical intimacy. Instead, she asked them to start with small gestures like a 5-minute hand massage after dinner, or sharing one memory from their youth each night. At first, it felt strange. But soon those simple moments sparked old feelings of warmth and closeness. Their relationship began to heal, not by returning to what once was, but by redefining intimacy for this season of life. Emotional isolation in old age has been linked to increased risk of depression, memory decline, and even premature death, according to studies from institutions like the Indian Council of Medical Research. But the hopeful truth is that intimacy is flexible. It doesn't have to mean what it did in your 40s or 50s. It can now be expressed through storytelling, shared prayers, sitting together during evening aarti, or even cooking laddus side by side during Diwali. For many Indian seniors, there's a sense of hesitation. Is it too late, or will my spouse even understand? But your needs for love, touch, and understanding are not childish or selfish. They are deeply human. Honoring them is not a weakness, but a step toward greater connection, peace, and joy in the years that remain. So if you've noticed that the emotional warmth between you and your partner has dimmed, don't wait for it to return on its own. Take a gentle step, a word, a glance, a moment of shared silence. Because sometimes the smallest gesture is enough to remind two hearts that they still beat for one another. In the end, intimacy after 70 is not about passion, it's about presence. Being there, being seen, being felt. And that kind of presence can be the most powerful medicine of all. In the peaceful corners of India, from the courtyards of Ahmedabad to the balconies of Kochi, many seniors are beginning to rediscover what truly matters. Not just good food or daily walks, but something deeper, the quiet strength of emotional connection. At this stage of life, it's easy to believe that love, affection, or closeness no longer hold the same value. But science, tradition, and human experience all tell us the same truth. Intimacy continues to shape our health, happiness, and inner peace. After 70, the decisions we make about emotional and physical closeness can quietly influence how well we sleep, how often we fall sick, and how connected we feel inside. This isn't about performance or obligation. It's about recognizing and respecting a part of our well-being that still needs care. Whether through a shared prayer with your spouse, a hand rested gently during evening tea, or a kind word exchanged during your morning puja, these small acts nourish the soul and the body. So today, I invite you to pause and reflect. Is there space in your life for more connection, more conversation, more comfort? Even a single step toward intimacy, whatever that means to you, can unlock energy, lift your mood, and bring clarity to your days. Thank you for being here and for allowing me to walk this journey with you. If this message touched something within you, please leave a comment and share your story, because your voice, your experience can inspire someone else across India. Until next time, let's honor each chapter of aging with grace connection and quiet strength. As we come to the end of this video, I hope you're taking with you one simple but powerful reminder that love, connection, and emotional closeness are not things we outgrow with age. They are timeless needs that bring light to our days and strength to our hearts, no matter how many candles are on our birthday cake. These tips are shared for general awareness. If you're facing any health challenges, be sure to check with your doctor before trying anything new. Every person's journey is unique, and your doctor will know what's best for your body and mind. If today's video made you reflect or feel something important, I would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below sharing what touched you the most, or simply write the word